What is up, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome to another episode of Dr. Kade Plays Fallout 4. If you're joining me from last video, you are awesome. If you're new, welcome. Today, we're going to be going over the purified water and infinite caps exploit. I'm also going to be showing you a slight tip on how to properly wire certain things, such as generators, purified water machines, and turrets. And we're also going to be doing a little bit in Sanctuary, so let's get started. So before you do the purified water infinite caps exploit, you are going to need to do a couple of things. First off, you're going to have to run over here to where the workbench is, and you're going to scrap this. Go ahead and scrap that too, it's fine. Now, if you're the kind of person that likes to go around Sanctuary and scrap everything that's in Sanctuary before you do anything, you are already golden, so don't worry about this. If not, you want to at least scrap these few things. Okay, you want to scrap that I just scrapped, and you also want to run around to all of the street lamps and scrap those. This is going to give you all of the copper that you need to do this just starting out. So like I said, run around all of the street lamps and take them out. So when you first start, you're only going to get a certain number of resources from everything. I actually have a mod, and as I said before in my previous videos, I am going to show everyone all of my mods, my mod list, as soon as I get the ability to do so. Currently I am recording without internet because my internet is wonky. It keeps going out on me at random intervals. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's not. I am working on fixing that problem, but for now, I'm just gonna have to go with the flow. So now that you have all the street lights scrapped, and I come down here. Now this exploit, at least in Sanctuary to begin with, also ties a little bit into Preston Garvey's group a little bit, because when you get them into Sanctuary, Sturgis gives you a list of, not demands, more a list of things that he needs you to do for them to get them started and get them going, such as beds, food, defenses, and water. If you do this properly, not only will you begin the Purified Water Infinite Caps exploit that you will be able to use for the entirety of the rest of the game, but you will also finish the water aspect of that mission list. So I'm actually going to turn on my Pip-Boy light, and we're going to clean it up down here just a little bit, because it is filthy. Look at this, so much junk everywhere. Oops. So in your workshop menu, you're going to scroll over to the, not the power, over to the resources tab, scroll up, and you're going to build the biggest water purifying machine that you can. To start out, I would suggest not doing more than about 4 or 5. I actually have a mod, as I was saying before, that gives me a small amount more scrap from items, more resources from items when scrapped than is in the vanilla game. So I would suggest for you, if you don't have this mod installed, to only make about 3 or 4. In fact, just to be safe, go ahead and only make 3 or 4. Because you're definitely going to need enough copper to do this. Now, my second tip for this is, and this works with turrets, this works with generators. Whatever you do, no matter what you're hooking up, no matter what kind of system you are building, do not ever hook these up in series. Because no matter how much defenses you have in your settlement, you are going to get raided. That's just an inevitability. And when you are raided, no matter how, the longer that the enemies are in your settlement, the more of your stuff is going to get broken, fucked up, and stolen. So just keep that in mind. Resources also get stolen out of your workshop inventory, so you need to be careful about that. But do not ever hook anything up in series, and this is why. Let's say I was to hook this one to this one and this one to this one. If this one gets broke, not only does this one no longer work, but both of these will shut down. If you have them hooked up the same way, if this one gets broke, obviously it will stop working. This one will continue working, but this one will shut down, even though it is still perfectly fine. So do not ever hook anything up in series. It's the same thing with turrets, it's the same thing with generators. The more redundancy you have, the more of your stuff is going to work and last during and after a raid. So what you're going to do is you're going to come over here to pylon, or come over here to power. You're going to come over here to connectors and switches. You're going to come over here to pylons, and you're going to set up a pylon. I usually like to put stuff right here because it makes it closer to that. But the reason why you do this is because pylons during raids never break. Neither do connectors, neither do switches. What in the world? There we go. I also have a mod that makes wires capable of being attached significantly further away. Than they would be able to normally, though that is apparently the limit. So just move that, and boom. So because of that, because of the way they're hooked up, if one of them goes down, or multiple of them go down, those will be the only ones that shut off. The ones that are still on, that are still good, and still connected to the power source, will be fine and continue to run. Now you come over here to generators, and you're going to make the biggest generator that you are capable of creating. I could actually go into my perk chart and get the first science rank because I've leveled up a couple of times and use this large generator, but we're just going to go ahead and use the medium generator, which will be fine. At least I'm going to anyway. So you're going to hook these up, or you're going to set these down just underneath the pylon. You're going to set them up enough so where they will all power your water pumps. It helps to have a little bit of redundancy too, because if some of these get destroyed, the other ones will still be producing enough power to run most of your pumps, if not all of them. But you're also going to hook these to your pylons separately. That way, if any of them get broke, the others will still power your water pumps that are also non-damaged. And we are golden. So it's going to take, I'm not sure exactly what time in game it is. I think it's past 12 o'clock. But every day, roughly at 6 o'clock in game, the game resets for another day. Every 24 in-game day or in-game hours, which would be real life 24 minutes, you will get a percentage of the amount of purified water that you are allowed to have. As you can see up in the workshop tab, it tells you all the stats of your settlement. There is a water tab that says 30. Every settler that you have in your base, depending on how much charisma you have, because for every charisma point that you have, you are allowed two settlers in your base, up to a maximum of 20. No, that's wrong. Never mind. Forget I said that. Base without any charisma in your charisma perk at all, without any points in your charisma perk at all, you are allowed 10 settlers in your settlement total. Each charisma point that you have in your charisma skill adds another potential settler to each and every settlement. For a maximum of 20. There are mods that it can increase that. I'm not using any of them, but exploits and cheats, I do believe, can also help you, because there's a command code to raise your charisma point level pretty much infinitely, and that will give you the ability to keep infinite settlers in each one of your settlements. Though, to be completely honest, after 20 it's almost pointless, unless you have, a giant settlement like Sanctuary, or the biggest settlement possible in Fallout 4, which is Spectacle Island. If you want to have 100 settlers at any of those, that would be completely and perfectly doable. However, just to let you know, if you have more than 30 in a settlement, unless you are running an extremely beefy computer, you're likely going to crash if you're capable of going into the settlement at all before it lags down to the point of being frozen as far as frame rate goes. But anyway, so there we have it. There we have it. Now we are going to do a little bit of sanctuary cleanup and a bit of building. I'm actually getting a little bit of lag myself. So what I like to do is I like to bring all of the workstations over here to this house, which is where the workbench for Sanctuary is. Just gotta clean it up a little bit. And I know this might sound a little boring, but I do the exact same setup with every playthrough that I ever do. The armor workbench always stays right there. The power armor workbench always stays right here. I always keep this cabinet here for miscellaneous armor pieces that I can store that I don't want to sell. This is going to get pushed into the wall a little bit. Not that much. So I don't want it glitching out on the other side. Still take away from the space in here. Clean this out a little bit. Now, when you first start in Sanctuary, you have these food piles. My suggestion to you would be to get rid of them. Gourds are actually one of the most worthless types of food in the game. They're not worth very much. I think even the melons, which are the most pricey, they're only worth about 2 caps a piece. And they can't do you can't do anything with them. So what I like to do, and because it's actually one of the best things to do in the game, as far as resource creation goes, you want to get a hold of some moot fruit, corn, and potatoes. If you've already got the water purification system up, you are perfect as far as purified water goes, because you need purified water in order to do it. If you have all 4 of those things, you have the ability to create vegetable starch. And vegetable starch can be made with one of each of those 4 things combined together to create 1 vegetable starch. Each vegetable starch is worth 4 adhesive. And especially in the beginning of the game, adhesive is going to be a very valuable commodity, because it is only capable of being resourced from 2 different items: glue and duct tape. It's also one of the rarest resources in the game, and you need it literally for everything. Armor mods, power armor mods, weapons mods, weapons and armor creation. Sometimes you even need it for weapons and armor repair. But especially in the beginning of the game, because you are going to reach a point in the game where every weapon that you can possibly have, all of the best armor that you can find, power armor and regular, you're going to max it out. And once you have all all of the best armor upgrades that are possible to get, once you have all of the best guns leveled out to their maximum potential with their mods, you're not going to need to upgrade them anymore, and you will use those guns until you beat the game. You will use that armor until you beat the game. You will use that power armor until you beat the game. And at that point, you will no longer need adhesive. So, if you still have the adhesive farm going, you can sell that adhesive and sell the excess adhesive for caps. Because glue or adhesive is so rare, it's also one of the most expensive and valuable resource types in the game. It's not the most valuable, but it's one of them for sure. I believe that at maximum charisma you can get anywhere between 5 and 8 caps per adhesive. And if you have an adhesive farm, you can actually obtain adhesive pretty fast. Though mind you, by that point, if you have maxed out the purified water infinite caps exploit, you're probably not going to need to sell anything else for the entirety of the rest of the game. Oh, as I was saying before, I completely spaced out and forgot to finish what I was saying. My bad. I apologize, guys. So, as I was saying to all of the people who have not played this before, you have a maximum potential of 20 base game vanilla settlers per settlement. Each one of your settlers takes anywhere between 5 and 10 water points each. So if you have 30 water points in your settlement and you have 6 settlers, you are either going to, if each one takes 5, because I can't remember, 5 water points, you're going to be either golden, but if each one takes 10, you're going to be down by half. So you're going to see 60 water points. But in large settlements like Sanctuary, if you literally cake the entire fluid area of the settlement in the largest water purification machines and sparsely place the smallest water purification machines in between those in the places where the larger ones won't fit, you can max out the water points system several times over. The maximum that I've ever had at any given time was, I believe it was 1,752, something like that, every in-game 24-hour period. So every 25 minutes. And literally within a matter of a couple of days, in-game days, which is about how long it takes each and every single merchant in the game to respawn their caps and their inventories.
I'm working on the car right now.
So legitimately, if you have the maximum amount of water points in your settlement with this water purification system, every couple of days you will have so much water that you will be able to walk around to every single merchant in the game, both in the vanilla and the DLC worlds. Take every single one of their caps, take every item and potentially everything that they have, honestly, and pay them with nothing but water. Because with all of the magazines that increase price, if you are playing as Nora, or even Nate, if you have every single settlement with the maximum number of vendors, and all of the vendors are female, and you're playing as Nate, you have all of the magazines that increase charisma and price. You have all of the charisma skill perks. You have all of the big sale perks, both of the big sale perks that increase prices of items. Purified water is potentially worth between 25 and 28 caps each. Incredible, right? Yeah, I thought so too. When I first found out about this, I mean, like, I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to figure out how the hell I was going to be able to do this. Because, I'm the kind of person that likes to build in my games, but because of the way this game is set up as a sandbox game, you have to run around trying to find resources, and it's just so dang difficult. I mean, just the level of exploration and the trekking back and forth between where you're at and your main settlement in order to amass and find and store and keep resources is just insane. It really is. It's just insane. But of course, as we all know who have already played this game, and spoiler for those who haven't played this game. So, just skip ahead a couple of minutes. In fact, anytime I say spoiler for anyone who is watching this that has never played this game, anytime I say the word spoiler, if you don't want to know and you want to figure it out for yourself, whenever I say that, just skip ahead a few minutes. But spoiler alert to all those who haven't played the game yet. Every merchant in the game, in their junk file, usually has a significant amount of junk in their junk file, but also has scrap notes. Each one of these notes can contain a variable number of scrap in a specific type: aluminum, adhesive, steel, wood. Basically bulk, I guess you could call it. So basically what I am doing here is I am creating a small platform. I like to create little lounge areas for my settlers and for myself. So sometimes when I'm in my settlement, I'm just, dicking around somewhere else and I have it on autopilot. I can sit in my settlement and let, my resources wrap up or rank up, so that when I come back to it, I'll have, some purified water I can sell, or I'll have some plants that I can convert into vegetable starch and then into adhesive. Various things like that. Yes, I know, I missed this one on purpose. I have all of the DLCs for Fallout 4 downloaded, and in the Wasteland Workshop DLC, it actually gives you a farm plot that you can set down on stuff like this and plant things in. This farm plot was originally designed for settlements like Jamaica Plains, which have almost no dirt whatsoever. So it just makes it extremely difficult for you to be able to place down enough crops to feed all your settlers if you were to even attempt to try to have 20 settlers in that tiny of a space. Jamaica Plains is not the smallest settlement area. In fact, I believe it's Orland Station, which is the settlement that's right next to the train tracks, where the two girls use the switch track uh, lookout tower as a small house. That is the tiniest settlement location in all of the game, including the DLCs. Because Automatron adds a settlement location. Nuka World adds, I believe, 2 settlement locations. And uh, Bar Harbor adds 5. 5 or 8. I'm not 100% sure how many exactly, but I do know there's quite a few potential settlement locations. And if you have the DLC installed, you're going to come over here to your resources. You're going to go into miscellaneous, and garden plot is what you're going to use. I do not currently have fertilizer, so I'm going to run over to where the fertilizer is, and I'm going to grab some. requires 1 fertilizer per farm plot, and there is a couple bags of fertilizer back here. Each one of them gives you 4 or 5 fertilizer, which means you will be able to place 5. Okay, there's only 1. There's another bag of fertilizer somewhere in Sanctuary. I just don't remember where it's at. I'm just going to go into my workshop real fast, scrap that. Oop, scrap that. Pick this up, take it back. Take it back over to the workshop house. Did I already pull the house? No, I didn't. Okay, that was didn't. Never mind. So normally after a short time, I actually end up putting the. I have in a couple of situations. I've ended up putting the armor station just to get it out of the weather, and the chemistry station in here. But it's up to you where you want to put it. It's your game. Why did I go out of that? Sometimes I can be very absent-minded. So it gives you 4 fertilizer. Good enough, good enough. So we do not actually have at this point, and unless you're some kind of lucky or you're using mods that give you different certain resources right off the bat, because there are a couple of cheap mods that do that, or in case you're using command codes to just give yourself everything that you need starting out. In order to get resources to place in the farm plots, you're going to very likely have to go to Abernathy Farm first to get potatoes. And believe me, all of your settlers can survive just fine off of 1 crop type, and they won't bitch much about it. So now we are going to do the last 2 things that we can, and then in the next video we are going to leave Sanctuary for the very first time. But right now we are going to finish up the last 2 things that we need to do for Sturgis before we go and get him here. And then we are going to leave Sanctuary and travel to Abernathy Farm to get some potatoes. I'm actually experiencing a significant amount of lag, which is surprising. Usually I don't have a lot. I'm actually just about out of wood. Usually if you go around Sanctuary and you scrap everything that there is to scrap, you will have more than enough resources to do most of this. But I'm just going to chop down a few trees, and that should give me more than enough wood to finish this building. Sanctuary actually has a significant amount of wood in it. Because there are trees everywhere. This is just how I like to do it. I mean, you can build your house as elaborately as you want. This is just the way I like to do it. And I leveled up again. So now we are going to make some beds. Oh, what the? Oh, I used the wrong. I used the wrong ones for this. Okay. I was like, what the heck is going on? This is the one that you want. This is the one I accidentally used. Okay. Crap. Okay. What the fuck? Oh, I just jacked that all up, didn't I? Alright. That's not the one I want. Go. So now I can put a door wall on there. Put a door on there. And put a few beds down. Now, the thing with it is you can place beds down literally wherever you want. Like I could actually fit both of them in here, just like this. Okay. The problem with it is when you get settlers into your settlement, they will see there is beds here, and you will get everything green like it is right now, nothing red, because there is enough beds technically for all of your settlers. But if they cannot get in the bed, it will drive down the happiness. Your settlers will bitch and complain about not being able to sleep, and they will pretty much just mill around your settlement if they don't straight up just stand in one spot looking like synths at night. So if you don't want that to happen, make sure that you place your beds in a way that they will all be able to get to them. Because of the way the pathing is, and it is a little wonky, you have to make sure that there's enough space in between the beds, the walls, and any other kind of furniture that you may put in here so that they can walk through fairly easily. And it doesn't matter which side, as long as they can get into the bed, everything is perfect. And that should be plenty. Now we're going to run down here, and we are going to do the last thing that we can do before we need to leave Sanctuary to find some crops. Which means that we are going to be traveling to Abernathy Farm, which is the closest farm that has crops. Well, maybe not the closest, but it's fairly close. It might be the closest, I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, so we are going to come over here, go over to our turrets. And the only ones that we can create at the moment are these. And you can put your turrets wherever you want. I like to put mine right here for aesthetic purposes. Just makes it look a little cooler. Makes it look like I'm, making sure that anybody coming into Sanctuary over what should have been from the beginning the only way anyone can get into Sanctuary, though Bethesda decided to completely screw it up, and I will explain all about spawn nodes at some point in the future in a future video, but for now we are done, and we are going to be traveling out of Sanctuary in the next video, so if you want to see that, stay tuned. If you've made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. If you want to have direct, easy access to any of my other videos, this video for future viewing, any of my other channels or series, go ahead and excuse me, smash that subscribe button. If you want to be notified of any videos that I may put out in the future, I have 2 other Let's Play series, a No Man's Sky Let's Play series, as well as a Minecraft series. So if you want to be notified of those as well, and you want to check those out, go ahead and go over to my page and watch any of those videos that I have already posted. If you want to be notified of any more of my posts, or when I post new videos, I try to post at least one from each series every day. Go ahead and flick that notification bell, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a great day, have a great rest of your week, have a great weekend, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, however you're doing. I appreciate you, love to you, peace.